Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Personal Ramblings. I've changed my setting again. I like this one a bit more. I have some books in the back. I think the lighting is a bit better, and I'm also filming on my phone instead of my iPad, so hopefully the video quality is better as well. I don't want to waste too much time. In this video I will be talking about romance, and I kind of just wanted to unpack what romance is, how it's different to other forms of love, and how my own experience, or like how my own life experience have maybe stopped me from dating, if that's a good word, or why I'm just not interested. Just sort of talking about all things to do with love and romance. So romance has surrounded me all of my life, from seeing married couples at church or television shows, teen dramas depicting first love and all these big emotions and being crazy in love, and also all of the songs on the radio that would just repeat stories of love over and over and over. And even though I was sort of surrounded by all this love, and I still continue to be surrounded with my friends now starting to enter into serious relationships or entering the dating game, for some reason I've never really felt pushed or moved to start dating myself or find romantic love. So yeah, I'll start by talking about some of my experiences in love. I have some notes here. So when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time reading teen fiction stories on Wattpad. I don't think this is a rare or unique experience. I still have a soft spot for The Bad Boys Girl. I think that's the first ever Wattpad story I ever read. I think the characters' names were like Cole and Tessa, the usual. I don't know. But yeah, I loved love stories. I loved rom-coms. I loved just seeing love because I love love. So it's a bit rambly, but that's how I feel about it. And despite this enjoyment and this seeking out of romance and love in media, again, I never really felt a push to look for it myself. And it's not really that I'm against romance, I'd say, because seeing my friends and my family fall into love and share love, it gives me so much joy to know that they've each found someone who they feel understands them, who they feel like they can do life with in this moment or even forever. And just seeing somebody who gets them on a way maybe not a friend always can, because there's a different intimacy that comes with romantic love, more than just physical, but I'll speak more on that later. But like just seeing all this love around me, listening to all this love in songs and seeing all the love in movies, it really does fill me with love myself, with joy myself. So I wouldn't say I'm anti-romance, as I think is not a popular opinion, but a rising opinion. I know a lot of people are swearing off dating or going on years of celibacy or just prioritizing friendships over romantic relationships, which I think is a cool thing to do. But I've never intentionally done that, but I've also never intentionally looked for romance. So I want to talk a bit about how romantic love can be different to friendship or familial love. I have a background in neuroscience. I did graduate with a degree in neuroscience. As much as I didn't enjoy doing the research, I do find neuroscience super interesting. So there were a few studies that I wanted to reference that go into the brain systems involved in the emotions and behaviors that are seen in romantic love and how these are different to those in platonic love. Aaron et al. In 2005, they were investigating the reward and motivation systems specifically revolved in early romantic love, and they used brain scanning techniques to do this. They had about 17 participants, 10 men, 7 women who had been in a relationship for about 1 to 17 months. And what they would do is they would show them a picture of the person they were in a romantic relationship with, the person who they claimed to love, and then they would show them another picture of a familiar individual. And I think familiar just means like friend, somebody they know, maybe even a family member. And what they found was there was brain activity unique to the reactions to photos of the loved one in the dopamine-rich areas of the brain associated with mammalian reward and motivation. So this brain activity was specific to those regions. I left out all the brain names, maybe I'll edit them in, but it does get a bit technical. But that's the simplified version. And they mentioned how early stage romantic love can induce euphoria, and that this may be from a mammalian drive to pursue preferred mates. It's quite a clinical definition, I'd say, like pursuing the preferred mates, but I do think it captures romantic love a bit better than other definitions that mainly talk about evolutionary for reproduction, because not all romantic relationships are centered on reproduction. And I feel like that isolates a lot of romantic relationships that exist without reproduction. And it's a very heteronormative perspective, I'd say. But I'm not going to go into too many detail about that. Another study by Fisher et al. 2016, they proposed the idea that studies of romantic love and studies of substance abuse could help inform each other, because the reward and motivation areas that were seen to be activated when looking at the photos of a beloved individual, those were the same brain systems. There was overlap in those brain systems that can be shown in like drug addicts. And I'm not calling people in love drug addicts. I'm just saying that the connections in the brain that make romantic love a bit different to other forms of love is that it overlaps with the same sort of reward and reinforcement that you see with people with drug addictions. I think that's why it's such a common thing where people are like, I know it's bad for me, but I just can't stop going back. It's because a lot of the emotions and the rush that you're feeling, especially in the early stages, is very similar to the sort of high that you'd get from a drug or trying to fuel an addiction. So trying to stop loving someone who you felt all this for is basically the same level of difficulty of trying to quit like alcohol or smoking, and we've seen how difficult those things are. I feel like that gives a bit more of a perspective onto how intense and deep romantic love, especially in the early stages, can be. And they actually suggested that romantic love was a natural addiction. And then again, like the evolutionary reasons of reproduction. They themselves did some brain scan studies that demonstrated how the feelings of intense romantic love engage regions of the brain's reward system, specifically dopamine-rich regions, including the ventral tegmental area, also activated during drug and behavioral addiction. And these studies, whilst they mainly focus on early stages of love, there was a different one by, I'm going to say it wrong, Avescado et al. It's a 2011 study. And they looked at more long-term relationships and how love and like the mechanisms for love remaining strong in long-term relationships, because of course you're not always going through that honeymoon phase, super deep, intense, euphoric feeling. As you stay with somebody longer, love can change and love can grow, and the feeling of love can shift. And they included this really nice section from Hendrick and Hendrick 1992, who speculated that people go through a development sequence of love styles, with mania or obsession being most characteristic of adolescence, evolving into eros, romantic love, around early adulthood, storge, akin to companionate love, and pragma, pragmatic love in the middle years, and eventually into agape, or giving love, in the later stages of life. So I feel like this quote shows that romantic love is shifting, changing, and developing, as I said before. It changes as we grow and as the relationship grows, and that within romantic love, there are actually so many more forms of love that can exist and that we can experience over time. And I think this is a really beautiful thing. I feel like I understand romance a bit differently to this. Like I find romance in my routine walk in the park. I find romance in my morning routine. I find romance in my favorite book, because for me, romance is about longing, comfort, and attachment. That's what love is for me. Something that makes you feel safe, that's something that makes you feel understood. And it's like when I'm on my morning walk in nature, it makes me just feel at one with myself and sort of in love with the earth that I live in, despite how terrible things are at the moment. At least there's like that one moment of calm and stability that makes me feel safe and understood. Or even like a morning routine, just washing my face and taking that time with myself. For me, it almost feels romantic because of the comfort and the safety and how much I look forward to being with it, how much I think about it. And then again, in my favorite books and media, seeing love makes me feel love. I didn't look for a dictionary definition to define it. I just sort of thought about what romance means for me, and maybe romance means something different for you. I think romance can mean something different for everybody. I feel like love is more than just a science. It's a very human, psychological thing. It's more than just reproduction or evolution, but it's a part of being. It's a part of humanness, something a bit deeper than the physical. I would say that maybe this understanding of romance that I have, this broader understanding, may be why I've never felt specific pressure to get into a relationship, because I already feel pretty romantically fulfilled by everything and everybody in my life. I think another reason why maybe I haven't felt that pressure to start dating is that modern romance, whilst romance isn't dead, it definitely looks very different. I'd say nowadays romance is mostly online, and I'm not a very online person at all. I hate texting, I hate responding to texts, I hate calls, I hate emails. So it's like, if everybody is falling in love online, whether it's sliding into DMs or it's downloading an app and like swiping through people, that's just kind of against my character anyway, because I'm not online anyway. Like, the only social media I really use are YouTube and Pinterest, and both of those are like speaking into the void. They're not really for connecting with people, they're more for expressing yourself. I do think online dating is still a good thing though, because I think you can find love in places where you never would have been able to find it before. Maybe you live in an area where people have different values to you. With online dating, you can then go outside of where you are and find love elsewhere and find a match who shares those same values. That's, I know it's not a common thing with online dating, people hate it, but it's, at least there's the possibility, at least there's more of that choice compared to if you were just kind of stuck to your own surroundings. And then I might also be a bit of a hopeless romantic too, because I've always believed that love is something that would find me when the time is right, rather than something I have to go looking for myself, which I know is a bit of a naive way of looking for it. But that's just how I've always sort of felt. I don't think love is something that I want to have to search for. The same way all of my friends that I've made in life have been through community, and not necessarily because I'm going to go out and find friends. It's just we're in a shared space. We get to talk to each other, get to know each other. We see that we share the same values. We begin to care for each other, and then we become friends. And I think I hold that same approach to romantic love, because I've had very fulfilling relationships in my life. I think I've been very privileged to be able to be surrounded by friends in each stage, mostly. But like, if it can happen in that way for friends, then surely it can happen that way for romantic love as well. Like building a relationship based on mutual interests, values and connections rather than anything else. There's also, going back to basically what I've said, I already have so much love in my life already, and I think this is a bit of a rare situation where a lot of the friendships that I've made over time from school and work, I've kept in touch with all of those people. We still meet up, we still go out. I also meet up with my cousins sometimes, and I feel like being surrounded by community in that way, there's less opportunity to notice any gap that might exist. And going into that gap, another reason, so many reasons, I feel like because I have never dated before, I don't actually know what I'm missing, because I've never filled that gap before. So it's almost like I don't even know it's there. I've discussed with friends, and I saw online that being single after you've dated is very different to being single after never dating. And I'm still in the single after never dating, but I've seen for some of my friends who've got into their first relationships and then had that first heartbreak, it's like being single after that has been completely different for them. I had a friend who described it as she went sort of from hopeful romantic and not really minding to sort of hopeless romantic, being like, is there even love out there? Will I ever find it? Because she felt that love once, and now, like, well, and then when it ended at that time, it's like, oh my goodness, what on earth am I going to do now? And like, maybe I also have anxiety of my first heartbreak, because I've heard that first heartbreak in your 20s is horrific. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess I might just not know what I'm missing. There are so many more reasons, but I didn't want to like go on and on. But I feel like another reason why I don't feel the pressure is because I've never really felt the pressure to have kids, because I'm like completely terrified of pregnancy and giving birth and then having to like raise a child. So I think once you remove the biological clock aspect out of it, that everybody's always harking on about, like, oh, you're gonna run out of time, your eggs are gonna dry up, because I don't really have that anxiety, then I don't really have the pressure to go find someone very quickly. Another thing, a more popular reason that I've seen online a lot, which actually inspired me to make the video, but I don't want to be repetitive, is that I would be a straight woman who dates men, and men have kind of become a bit of a natural deterrent. I mean, my own experiences with men as friends or whatever has been okay. I don't actually have any male friends, but male acquaintances has been fine. But there have been times where I just look at them like, and like when you see like the state of men on the internet, I know the internet isn't really real life, but at the same time, the men on the internet are somewhere in somebody's real life. And like the content that they consume and all the issues going on, it's sort of like, do I even want to get involved with that whole side of things? And also seeing how the women in my life, how their lives sort of start to take shape around the man that they're with, if they're dating a man. But I never really see that happening the other way around. Is a very big deterrent for me, actually, because I love having my freedom and being sort of self-centered, I guess. Like any decision that I make, I don't have to really consult anyone about it. I can just make it. If I want to move country, I can just go. If I want to change jobs, I can just change. Like there's nothing I am saving up, but there's nothing I'm saving up for like a big wedding or children's futures, or I don't have to worry about anything being long distance, because with my friends we can handle that. I don't know. There are so many reasons I think that I haven't really been interested or felt the pressure to date, and why I'm not really somebody who actively looks for romantic love. And even when you sit down with the happiest couples, a lot of the time they have sombering revelations about relationships. Like they may love the person they're with so much, but they also talk about how much their life has changed since they committed to them. And I think that big life change might just not be something I'm ready for. And I've also seen how in romantic relationships, a lot of different things, imperfections or things that you struggle with can come to light. You can learn a lot about yourself and a lot about that person, which is fine. It's natural because we're all human beings, but I might just also not be ready to have those revelations. I think is a very deep thing, actually. But yeah, I think there are many reasons why I've never dated or never taken an interest to dating, but I think romantic love in and of itself is so interesting, in all the different forms of love and how it can change over time. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you can find it, and it's definitely an experience worth having. But I also don't think it's something that is, well, right now for me it's not 100% necessary. As I said, it's never happened before, and I don't really feel like anything is missing, and I feel like I could just go on indefinitely. I don't think I would ever date just because I need to start dating. I would only date if I found somebody who I wanted to be with in that way, which I think is an okay perspective to have. Like, sure, people will ask me questions and I'll be single for probably a very, very long time, especially because I'm not going online. But it's what makes me most happy and comfortable, I think. So yeah. This video is a bit longer and I was like choking all the way through, so I don't know. I have a lot of work to do editing, but I hope that you enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out the written version on Substack. It's kind of just a repeat though. And thank you so much for the love on my last video. And yeah, I hope you like this one too.